is a peaceful revolution, which means the stupidity and insanity of what's going on out there in the world does not have to mess up your money. Here's what I mean. So Bitcoin is insulated from the stupidity and insanity of Washington, D.C., for example. Over the last few months, we have learned that the Washington, D.C. has zero interest in cutting spending at all, not even one iota. Elon Musk, the richest man in the world, did his best to try to convince the politicians in Washington to cut basically even a penny. The answer is no, we're not going to cut anything. The Republicans don't want to cut spending. The Democrats don't want to cut spending. Nobody wants to cut spending. It's absolutely insane. To pay for their just absolutely insatiable appetite to spend other people's money, they're going to have to print a ton of money. Now, without Bitcoin, I'd be sitting there and I'd be upset, right? Because they're going to print a ton of money and it's going to make life harder for me and my kids and my grandkids and, all of that. But guess what? We're insulated from that because we are not on a US dollar standard. We are on a Bitcoin standard. Bitcoin is a peaceful revolution. Bitcoin is a means of opting out and deciding that the stupid and insane actions of others don't have to directly impact you, at least if those actions are happening in Washington, D.C., for example, as it relates to the finances of the United States. You can just opt out of that. So they may print a ton of money. They will. No, they will. They have to. There's no other way. But it doesn't have to destroy the purchasing power of my money because my money is Bitcoin. And the more of their money they print, the more valuable my money becomes. And every one of my kids has a BitKey. And they have Bitcoin safely stored away on BitKey in cold storage out of the greedy and grubby hands of everybody that wants to make stupid and idiotic decisions in Washington, D.C. So when I was out campaigning across two different election cycles, I knocked on 8,500 doors. 8,500 myself. 8,500 doors myself. And a lot of people were worried. A lot of people were worried about things that were happening in the country, things that were happening in Washington. What are we going to do about our national debt? The country is drowning in debt every which way. What are we going to do about it? And Bitcoin is a peaceful revolution. It's an opportunity to say, even if the insanity never stops, I'm opting out. I am exercising the peaceful revolution of just saying no. Of saying I'm not going to hold my money in something that someone else can print out of thin air and destroy the value. The United States may end up in a bunch of stupid wars that we shouldn't be involved in. And we will spend trillions of dollars fighting stupid wars that nobody can win, that kill a bunch of people, which is awful. And I'm going to do my best to try to avoid the United States ending up in that place. But if the United States ends up in that place, even in spite of my best efforts, guess what? It's not going to affect my money because my money is not in the US dollar. So the stupid and irrational and insane decisions of numerous people can have numerous stupid, insane, and idiotic impacts on you. Bitcoin lets you opt out of a large percentage of those negative effects. The government spending, the irrational stupidity, the debasing of the currency, all of that, you can just walk away and say, hey, that's okay. You know, I'm in Bitcoin. And so I've dedicated a big part of my life to not only, um, living on a Bitcoin standard, but also encouraging as many other people to live on a Bitcoin standard as well. And eventually, the more of us that decide to exercise our right to a peaceful revolution by opting out and opting into the Bitcoin system rather than the US dollar system, the higher percentage of us that make a decision to do that, the fewer and fewer people that there are left fighting over the US dollar. Eventually, they will destroy the US dollar. They will. The people who control the US dollar will eventually destroy it. But again, your kids, your grandkids, and you yourself, you don't have to be part of that. You can opt out of that system. And that's my goal. My goal is for myself, my kids, my grandkids, and the people I know and love, for as many of those people to opt out of the US dollar system as possible, to opt into the Bitcoin system, and therefore insulate themselves from the stupidity and insanity of the world around them. Now, obviously, all of us should continue to do our absolute best to positively impact the world. I still spend tons of money positively trying to impact the world, to try to keep us out of wars, to try to control government spending, to try to discourage idiotic government behavior. But I also know that I am not always going to be successful and will often, the stupidity and idiotic behavior of others is going to have negative effects on our country. And the best thing you can do, even, while fighting to make the world a better place, which we should all do, simultaneously, while fighting to make the world a better place for the benefit of as many people as we can benefit, we can also opt out of the monetary system that is going to self-destruct. And Bitcoin is the only way of doing that. It's a beautiful and elegant and just incredible peaceful revolution. And I'd encourage you to be part of that. I certainly am. And I'm a lot more peaceful as a result. Instead of everything that happens in Washington, D.C. automatically getting under my skin, a lot of it I'm like, look, I did everything I could to make things better. They did stupid stuff anyway. At least it doesn't affect my money. You can sleep at night knowing that no matter how stupid things are in Washington, D.C., at least it doesn't affect your Bitcoin. At least the dumber it gets in the long term, the higher your Bitcoin goes because the more people opt out of the system and join the peaceful revolution. So if you haven't already, I would encourage you join the peaceful revolution of Bitcoin, and the higher percentage of your assets that are in Bitcoin, the greater degree to which you have joined that peaceful revolution. Have a great day, everyone. Thanks.